What part of Kentucky again?
So central Kentucky, and the biggest rock formation, steep area in terms of hiking is the Red River Gorge, which I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I remember we were camping and we went there when the kids were a little younger, because I love Kentucky. I don't know why I don't spend more time there, but my dad grew up in a very poor section of Kentucky. He grew up in Dayton, and he'd always go, "Not Ohio, Dayton, Kentucky,
Dayton, Kentucky.
not Ohio, Kentucky." And they actually
Yeah,
started building it up a couple of years ago. It was near Newport, Kentucky, which is right
yeah,
across from Cincinnati.
yeah.
But I'd always go to Kentucky and see my aunt and uncles. And were you born and raised there?
Born and raised. So I was born in Russell County, and that is southern Kentucky, where Lake Cumberland is. So it's a
Yeah.
big hot spot for boats. So my family's originally from there, and my uncle, kind of a little bit of a fact, he was the longest running sheriff in Kentucky history down there.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah, Larry Bennett, sheriff of Russell County, Kentucky.
Larry
Yeah,
Bennett. It
he's
sounds
an
like a
OG
movie what you
man.
just said.
Yeah,
It sounds like you
OG.
just did the movie. Larry Bennett, the longest running sheriff in Kentucky.
He'll hunt you down like a dog.
You can run on for a long time. Sooner or later, Larry Bennett's going to cut you down.
That's
I
right.
love it. So, my nephew's a fireman down in Charleston. All my nephews, most of them are police officer, very blue collar family. So the part that really fascinated, besides a fireman, and this is another thing that people don't understand about firemen. A lot of times, firemen spend going to something like. It was really funny to hear my nephew one time. He goes, "Uncle Jim, you know what most of my time is spent climbing stairs because someone thinks there's a fire when it's really just steam coming off to the top of the building." He goes, "But the problem is we got to keep all our gear on and we got to walk up all 30 flights. We
Yeah.
can't use the elevators. We got to go up there and we already know it's not a real fire, but we got to go all the way up there anyway. And my thighs are burning. They're screaming on fire. I've got all this stuff. I'm sweating my ass off." And there's also just a little side note for people. A lot of times the firemen, people just think fire and the fire truck and all that. They're also for people listening, they're the ones showing up at accidents, first seeing the horrors of what just went down. And they're going through the horrors of trying to get people out of cars and other situations that you wish you will never find yourself in. So I don't think firemen
Yes.
uh,
That's
actually
very
get.
true.
I
And
don't think they get the respect that people really wrap their head around, and that's fine. They just think they're guys running down a pole, ding, 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 and running with a fire hose. But there's a lot of deeper depth with the fireman world. How'd you get into the rope world? Is that something that has to go, or is that a side thing to learn?
yeah, man, that's a really great question. So I got into ropes actually prior to the fire service. So my
Okay.
brother is 7 years older than me. And
Uh
so
huh.
not only was I his punching bag growing up, I was also like his sidekick. So anytime that he would go to the gorge, I was glued to his hip. Why he would bring his younger brother along? That's a great question, but I'm grateful
Huh.
for it. So we would go to the gorge, and I remember the first time I rappelled over a mountain, and it was at the gorge. This mountain, we're probably talking 8,500 feet in height,
Mm,
sheer
okay.
rock wall.
Uh,
And I'm 12 years old. I go over the edge, terrified. I've got the Bambi legs. I'm shaking. I can't even think straight.
uh,
And I step over the edge, and all the shaking stopped. And I was like, "This is my life now." I mean, just hooked.
really?
I'm instantly hooked, terrified, and in love with it. And then fast forward, I mean, it's kind of a long, drawn out story, but when I got
It's
into the
fine.
fire service, I was doing humanitarian work in Honduras. And
Oh, wow.
and if you know anything about a third world country, you travel everywhere in the back of a truck, pretty much.
Right.
So
Right.
we hopped in the back of this truck and we're heading down to this main city hub. San Pedro Sula is the name of the town. And we're
Yep.
coming off this just gorgeous mountain. And there's a gravel road that's been cut into the side of this mountain. Super dangerous, very narrow. And as we're coming down this road, we get passed by a mountain bike, and it has a dad and then this young daughter, probably 8, 9 years old, riding on the handlebars. They fly by us and disappear around the corner.
Hmm.
Well, we keep trucking down, and we round that same corner, and there's a big rock dust cloud. And I don't know what it was that was in me in that moment, but I just jumped off the truck and ran down there. And there's this girl, and she took a nasty fall on the gravel, as you can imagine. That speed and riding on the handlebars, it was bad. And so
Oh,
I scooped her up, and I'm holding her in my arms, and I get her on the truck, and we make her way down to the city center to a hospital. And a doctor comes running out. He takes her out of my arms, and he disappears with her. Her name was Paula, and disappears back into what I would guess would be operating room, maybe. I don't
yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
I immediately just collapse. Sit down in a chair and just lose it at just kind of just shock of the whole situation. And I knew it was like that moment where I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to do with my life.